Hi everyone, it's Linda from LindaZ in Arlington Heights, and I'm here with you to have a glass of water, a cup of coffee, and some inspiration. So today we have a project that I've kind of been showing you. I've been working on it. One of my prior videos I did basting on, this is just a little practice piece. It's really a fun one. It's actually a batik, and you know, batiks aren't perfect. They're stamped and they're just beautiful with what they've done. So I thought it would be a good one to try for you. And again, it's just a little light color on the back. I did do a light colored thread. But one of the things that I wanted to show you that I was having trouble myself with, and I thought this would be a great video for you, is how to do this. It's called accurate stitch regulation. And Janome does have a book they put out for us. I would highly recommend that you do get it. It does have some really good tips. And if you want to do free motion embroidery and have your stitches regular with what they call, this is the foot that we're going to use. It's an accurate stitch regulator. Then I would very highly suggest you get this book and get some ideas on it, and then add my tips to the book because they are not there. I had to do a lot of researching in order to find them, and I'm going to take you step by step. I have 8 different steps, and I'm going to tell you the couple of things that are really key when you go to do this type of free motion. And those of you that have free motion feet from other brands of sewing machines, it's very similar. So you really could use the same technique that I'm trying here. But those of you that do have the new Janome M17, I would highly recommend that you follow these steps because there are some things that are missing out of here. Now, the first thing, of course, is attaching your foot. We are going to use what they call the ASR foot, or the stitch regulator function foot. That foot, and I believe it says right on the back of it, it's stamped in there A.S.R. So it's you know, an abbreviation for stitch regulation regulator, or accurate stitch regulation. Now, the most important part is to put this on and to plug it in. If you don't plug it in, you don't have a stitch regulation. There's another very important part, and that is when we get to actually where it is in the system, where the stitch regulation, there's a couple of things that are kind of confusing, and I want to walk you through how easy it is to find it. So what I do before I even get started, and I'm actually going to do this on a small piece. I have this real nice big piece that I did in another video, and I will show it to you after I get it finished, or at least some of it working. But I think it's easier for you to see it on a smaller piece of fabric. I also have standing right here next to me on this little mannequin my shirt, and some of you didn't realize what I had put on the back, but this is Chicago, and we are almost to Thanksgiving. So what do you think we have out there today? You're right. We do have snow, so I thought it was very appropriate to put this little red snowman on the back of my shirt, and it's a little snowman that's right out of the M17. So he's going to be right here with us, telling us, you're home, you're nice and cozy and having fun quilting, and if you don't want to have that nice cozy feeling, you can go outside and play in the snow. Okay. All right. So before I put this foot on, I use my little, I'm going to loosen the little screw on the side. I do have a little screwdriver that I'll tighten that up with. Janome has a wonderful thing. It's called the lockout key. And I'm going to lock it out because it's just easier to make sure that I don't have any issues with it. And once that lockout key is on, I'm going to raise the foot because it's easier to put this foot on when it's raised. And you can see it's going to go right around the little, I'm going to actually raise the needle too. Let me turn that lock-off kit down. Okay, and then raise that needle back up again. Lock it up again. Raise this. See, when you lock it, it does lower the presser foot, and you want to make sure you raise that presser foot while you're doing this because it's much easier to get this on there when it's raised. So some people take it out completely. I'm so used to this, I don't really need to. I'm just holding it in and tightening it up nice and tight. And once I get it to the screw that I want, the tightness that I want, then I go ahead and use my screwdriver, and then I put it right back on my metal container at the top so I don't have any trouble. Now, do you see how there's a little door back here? Can you get that, Nick? This little door is really, really cool. And this goes to the side. It doesn't go straight up. It goes to the side. And you can see I'm going to hold the machine. It's not that hard. Just plug it in. You see how I put it right in there? Now, the great part, and I've already got my needle threaded, I did change to a 90. You do want a 90 needle when you're doing this. And again, you want the lockout when you are doing the needle. Does everybody know why that's such a great feature, that lockout? The reason is because that lockout keeps your needle bar in the highest position. So when that lever swings around to thread your needle, it's never going to bend the little spring in there. It's just a wonderful thing. We should have it on every one of our sewing machines. Every manufacturer should be doing that, right? For us. All right, don't we wish? So first I'm going to go to the middle screen, which is your sewing application mode. That's and then once I've gone to that sewing application mode, I've already put my foot in. You could put your foot on, you know, after you find your stitches and everything, but I like to do this and plug it in first because then I know it's going to find the right settings that I want. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about when I get to it. So if you look at this screen for application, there's a little outline quilting, which is the area that we want to go into. I'm going to touch that. Now we do have on the side here, and I do use this at home a lot. I love their stylist. I think it's an excellent one to work with. So the key thing here, and this is really important, it tells you first to touch the ruler work. I know that sounds absolutely crazy because I'm not going to do ruler work. I'm doing free motion. And this is what I was talking about, why I think it's so important. You look at the little steps that I talk about. If you just touch free motion and you don't touch the ruler work, okay, it's going to, do you see how there's no ASR down here? And you want that ASR. That's really important. So I'm going to go back and start again so you can see exactly what I did. Touching the sewing application. I'm touching the quilt part. I'm going to touch ruler work because, and then you can see down here, do you see where it says ASR? That's there when I do the ruler work. So that is so key when we touch that ASR because otherwise it's not going to come up. So when you touch that ASR, now I want to go back to free motion. Does that make sense? And it tells you make sure you have the proper foot attachment. So if you haven't attached your foot at this point, you would need to put it on and you would need to press it in where that little door is. That's so key. Say, okay. And now, do you see how the ASR is there? Before, when I put the free motion on, I didn't go to ruler work first. That little ASR was not there. So real important that you remember that little technique. It sounds crazy, but it's just a really good technique for you to know. The other designs that are on here that we might not be able to use are grayed out. So these are the ones that we can use. And I'm going to go for my particular sample, I'm going to use this straight stitch 3. And you see how it's got the foot already put on here? Q0 is what I'm using. If you look at this foot up close, you'll see how there's an opening there. See, this is a circle. This is an opening. It's much easier to see this when it's an open foot like that. So that's the one that I really like the best. Then the next thing that we're going to do, and I'm going to go to my little notes here because I want to make sure I give this to you right. I am now going to touch the needle icon right here. When I touched that, do you see what happened? Two other icons came up. And this one, you can tell right away, is going to be the one that's going to pull the thread up to the top. Because when we start, we want to start with the thread in the upper position. You want to bring them up. I've already done, let me turn it over to the back so you can see. And again, I'm going to mention this to some of you before. I didn't trim these. If this were a really important quilt, you better believe I would have trimmed those before I actually went over it. But this is, you know, it's just a practice sample. And I wouldn't be using these scissors either. I'd use these little ones like this. See how easy that is to get in there? Because I've already done some of the quilting on this. And then this basting is kind of making you probably wonder what in the world's going on. In a prior video, when I did showed you just how to baste, I did it with a darker thread here so you could see it a little bit better. This particular one is very light because that's the color that I want to show on the back. I'm going to turn it back over. And you can see that I've already done, I'm going to put these back up here. You can see I've already done this area. So in order to go to the next area, take those back again and cut those threads. I don't want those showing. Okay, so the next area, you see I've got these done, this. And so you have to study your design and look to see, now where am I going to go next? I think I'll go over here. I've done one out here. I haven't done one down here. So let's do the heart. And then that, you know, again, this is practice. This is all it is practice. I just want to show you the most important thing that I'm trying to show you during this technique is that you set up your machine properly. If you set it up properly, you'll have no issue. You'll be able to practice and really have fun, and that's what you want. This is a great stress reliever. I would highly recommend you have 4 or 5 of these little quilt sandwiches. You have them out by your machine. I don't care if you quilt or not. Seriously, it is so fun. You totally focus on this and you don't think about anything else. So before I start, I want to bring those threads up. So how do I bring those threads up? First of all, I want that foot down. I'm going to take that needle down and then I'm going to bring it back up again. I'm going to hold that thread, bring the needle up. And you see I pulled those up to the top. My bobbin is very small. It's not a tall one, so you could pull it out here and then just take your tweezer and pull it up, but I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to, I know it's up there and I know it's ready to go. So I want to start quilting right here. I'm going to start around and I'm going to go around the heart. Then I'll go do this little formation in the middle. And I might do a little curly Q, although I wouldn't recommend doing too many of those circles to start. They're harder. So just do your heart and just do this part and have fun with it. The next thing, again, I touch this because that's the one that I want to work with. And I like to take my foot pedal off. You see, that's key. You want to undo that. And I like the start-stop button. Again, it's your preference, but you can see I'm all ready to go. It's actually ready, and I'm going to go around the heart. Now, those of you that like to wear gloves, I put gloves on a prior email, and I'm going to go around a second time. Just make it a little channel stitch. Then I'm going to go down here and do this, bring it up, and go around. And that's all there is to it. Just around and then go. Now, the way you go to the next one is if I want to go to this one, I can just go over these little curly cues again and then just go right down to the start. Watch again how I'm going. The beautiful part about this stitch regulator on Janome is that it truly is making up for my mistakes. I mean, it just, you know, I'm kind of pushing and pulling on some of these, but it isn't allowing me to skip stitches or anything. It's just making it look really like I really know what I'm doing. Okay. All right. And I can stop. So now I've got that heart done. So you watch where you want to go to the next one. I'll probably move over to this one and see this little horn here. I will go ahead and stitch around here, or I might go this way and then back, and then over around here, and then over here. Then I'll do this little part, and I'll go around and do this horn. Study it. It's so easy to stop it that you can easily go to the next one. I hope this has helped you. Um, I had a lot of, like I said, a couple of little issues finding the right sequence and the right order in order to start the free motion quilting. And I want to make this a simple and fun project for you. I don't want you to have to feel stressed out over it, because if you're stressed on something, what happens? You're right, you don't do it. Okay, so just think about the steps that I did, what I had to do first, putting the foot on, doing this, going to the ruler part, touching the ASR, and then going back to the free motion, which brought up the ASR on the free motion screen with the right foot, and then pulling the threads up to the top so I could start it. I just love the sequence. I think it's really going to be a fun thing for you to do. Like I said, make a few of these, put them out there, and start quilting. Let me see your results. I'd love to know what you're doing. Hope you are having a great quilting experience. Thank you so much for joining us today.